And an example, just because I think it's kind of interesting, the angels had me during the healing as people were clearing, because it takes a little while. I was helping, send the gold universal light to people's, legs and knees and ankles, whichever one we were doing at the time. So I had time to like read stuff while I was doing that. So for example, for the leg braces, and again, we just did one, leg brace one, and then before that we did one, wrist/arm one. But the leg one, it was like one of the example people I read, two actually of the example people I read, they ran in separate past lives. They don't know each other. They ran away from buildings that were on fire, and in some past life, and one of their loved ones passed away in that fire. And they, just with all the screaming and yelling and panic, they, had panic attacks and ran away, they ran out of the building to save their lives, but then they just kept running, and then just kind of went into shock. So they weren't available to, play firemen and get everybody out of the burning building. And, at least one loved one of each of those people, crossed over because, as a result of the fire. But the thing is, people don't cross over by accident. There's no accident. So it's really like, if you really do cross over, whatever the situation is, you agreed, with the angel. So it was either, I have a whole blog series, which I'll link in the information section, where I wrote, it was like a 3-part blog series I wrote maybe a year or two ago about crossing over and divine timing of lifetimes and all that. So like, it's never an accident. If someone crosses over at a certain time of their life, there's no way it's an accident, so it's not actually the person's, karmically speaking, obviously it's good karma to help people. It's good karma to be compassionate as much as humanly possible, but sometimes shock and fear just blocks you, it's not like these people set the fire, at all. It's not like these people, they just went into shock. They just got too overwhelmed. But it was the time of exit. It was the divine timing, exit time for their loved one who did cross over during the fire. But, people don't realize all that, and so they blame it on themselves, and then they kind of, trash half of the rest of their life because they feel so bad, and, so anyway, that's an example of the ankle and wrist braces. It's like they were ashamed for running away rather than staying and helping. They were ashamed of their fear and, of using their legs to walk away rather than help. And then one of the sample people, for the arm braces and the wrist braces, it was a past life of his where he was an alcoholic and his brother was an alcoholic, and he was a lot bigger and stronger than his brother, and they got into a bar fight. And his brother was actually the instigator, and it was about money. And but this client who was the healing participant, he in a drunken moment actually killed his brother, and obviously once he sobered up really regretted it. And so he had so much shame and regret about it that he ultimately ended up with self-punishment angel, actually 2 of them, and for that one situation, because it's not always just one angel. It depends on how much you feel you should be punished sometimes. So there were, in 1 or 2 cases in this healing, somebody had 5 self-punishment angels for the device and the situation. So they probably feel a lot lighter right now without that weighing them down. But anyway, so that's an example of one of the arm brace ones that, this guy in this past life, he was male and he, murdered his own brother. And so then, later felt so bad about it that he got these braces on his arms and hands. And actually in this life, he has a lot of wrist and joint issues, which, are partially food related actually. but maybe without the braces, the past life burdens on his arms and wrists, maybe it'll help, maybe. So let's see another example of an arm brace of a client. Let's see. One of the healing participants, she stole something. It was a female lifetime, and she stole money from her grandmother. Yeah, like a week before her, it was a past life, but she stole money a week before her grandmother, like a week before her grandmother passed away, and so she never got to return the money, she never got to apologize, and so she was so ashamed about it, because her grandmother was like super sweet and kind, and actually probably would have given her the money if she had asked, but she stole it. She was pretty young, and kind of a hothead in that life. I mean, the thing is, you've had so many lifetimes, it's like when you were a much younger soul, sometimes you did a lot of wacky stuff, Another example of a past life of a client, with the arm brace one, yeah, there was another theft one, where the arm braces, it's like you took something that wasn't yours, and later that person had really, like this one person, she was actually like one of these like highway bandit type people that, disguised themselves and robbed somebody when they were on their way from, like in this sort of, lonely forest road that people travel on to get somewhere. And so this client, who is now female, at that time in that past life was male, and robbed this fellow villager of money that was supposed to buy livestock to help the finances of this family. And so in that life, the thief was a male and robbed the money, and then, kept it hidden, so, but knew the villager that he had robbed. And it turned out that later that winter, like it really impacted the family's finances, because that money was like saved up, and they were just going to buy this livestock, so they had like all their money, in their possession, and it got stolen. So that family, their youngest, passed away that winter, of an illness. And so the thief found his consciousness, because to see a child die, it's like you really realize, like, holy moly, what have I done? I've really impacted these people's lives. But of course, because of divine timing, I mean, it's possible that maybe that kid would have lived a few extra months, but it's, it's not like that kid was meant to live a very long life, and because of the theft, but people don't know that. People don't know divine plan for length of life. So when they do something very unethical and then something else happens, as part of their consciousness and realizing compassion, sometimes they can kind of go overboard and really, really be determined to punish themselves, versus just, okay, now I'm going to live a kind-hearted life and help others. They sort of go the other way and just keep punishing themselves, unfortunately. But anyway, fortunately, they got the mini triplet healing. so people were able to clear that, and and then because the mini triplet healing is 3 healings, that's why the angels picked for me to do it on the middle healing, the Sunday healing, because it's a Friday healing, a Sunday healing, and a Tuesday healing. So everybody's energy was pretty good and flowing, with a few exceptions, because of the Friday healing. So it was a good time to do it on the Sunday healing, and then I can double check on everybody on the Tuesday healing, just to make sure everybody surfed it nicely. And I hope the concepts were interesting to you and not too triggering. If they were, just try to, be good to yourself, nurture yourself for the next day or so. Maybe, nurturing meaning like maybe a hot bath, or, a nice walk out in nature, or, a nap, and then, watch something funny, like try not to overthink things, or obsess about, what you could have done in a past life, try to, you have to balance things out. So because this video talked about past lives, you know, to balance that out, you want to be very body friendly, like, you know, wear your favorite colors, eat some protein, you know, maybe do some stretching or be outside. You know, that's why I'm sitting on the ground. You know, it's like, you know, I want to talk about this stuff and teach it, but I also need to balance it with, you know, more comforting, grounding, input as well. So please do that too. You know, be good to yourself in the next 24 hours, you know, just, you know, comforting music, good stuff. All right. Bye.